Hey guys, welcome to the Dice Matrix. I just wanted to teach you today how to play the classic deck building game, Dominion. I know one of these sides is the side up, apparently. I'm not very good at my orientation. But you don't have to be. This is a deck building game. It's a little different. Alright, let's go to the table and check it out. Okay, to set up Dominion, what you do is you lay out the cards you'll have. The board can be set up however you want, but I like to put a trash pile to the left. And you have your coins 1, 2, and 3, copper, silver, and gold. You have these curses in case you draw the witch card. And then over here you have the properties, which are worth victory points, 1, 3, and 6 respectively. In the center of the board right here, we're going to put 10 different supply cards, which is kind of the engine of your game when you buy them and your deck keeps growing. There's actually a nice inlay insert in most boxes, but if you start getting a collection that grows, I just removed them and I put them in these plastic bags. And that way you can just grab them out randomly and figure out which 10 you're going to play with each time. They have different powers and abilities. So I'm going to go ahead and choose those different 10 cards, and then I'll set it back up here. Okay, so I have the board set up here. I have all the copper, gold, and silver that are worth 1, 2, and 3. And of course I still have the curses and the properties to the left, an estate, a duchy, and a province worth 1, 3, and 6 points. The goal of the game is to have the most victory points, and the province is worth the most. And so most of the rules say that you play with so many of these based upon how many players you have, and when one of the conditions is when 3 of the supply piles run out, or if all the provinces are gone, then everybody counts the number of properties in their deck, and whoever has the most points wins. So anyway, I just randomly pulled out a bunch of action cards. They have different abilities, but on these they have a purchase cost. I don't know if you can see that right there. Like to buy this moat, it costs 2 coins and has the +2, which means you can play, you would draw 2 cards, and it also has a second ability that when a player tries to play an attack card against you, you can just reveal this from your hand and that will have no effect on you. Although it may have effects on other opponents, it does protect you. This chapel costs 2. By the way, I was going to say I laid these out. When I play Dominion, I usually lay them out from low costing up to higher costing, just to make it easier for the players so they know, hey, I've got this much money to spend. This is what I want to do. Anyway, a lot of these have a bunch of different abilities. This is the chapel, and it costs 2. It's an action card. All these are action cards, and well, unless the properties and the money up there. And this says that you can basically trash a card from your hand. And trashing a card from your hand is vital to the game because you want to be able to thin your deck out so it becomes more effective, like a machine. So you're getting more and more of an effective money building engine. And they have a bunch of different abilities on each one of these cards. I won't show you every single one, but this is the woodcutter. He gives you +1 buy, which means you can buy 1 additional card from the supply. And also the woodcutter adds 2 coins to what you have when you play him. So not when you purchase, but when you play. So anyway, each player starts off with a bunch of cards in their hand. They're going to have 7 copper and 3 estate cards, which are good for scoring at the end, but they're just kind of dead cards in your hand. And everybody shuffles those cards up. And just kind of give you an example. And then everybody draws 5 cards. So you'll draw 5 cards, and then 5 will be to the side. You want to make sure you keep your draw pile and discard pile. I always put the discard pile face up. New players seem to have a problem at first if they've never played a deck building game too, because they want to keep taking the cards they just got and shuffle them in everywhere, and so you have to make sure you keep it separate. So anyway, to reveal my cards that I got going on here, so basically you're going to play pretty much all your cards at once. Now some things make more sense to play them slowly as you go, but it's like a big thing. You have a money pool and an action pool. This follows an ABC rule, which means you can play A, 1 action card, then you move to B, you can buy 1 thing, and then C is cleanup, which is basically you pick up all the cards that you played and or didn't play, so your hand's totally gone, and you put it to your discard pile and you draw 5 new cards. So in this case, basically I have an estate, which is a dead card in my hand, and then I have 4 money. So with those 4 coins, I could buy this militia, or I could buy a moat There's no action, so I skip past the A part, ABC, action, buy, and whatever. So let's say I just wanted, I could even spend 3 of that and buy a silver, which ramps more money into my hand. So maybe I would do that. And I have 1 left over, nothing I can buy for 1. So I take the card I purchased plus all the other cards and I put them in my discard pile. Then you'll draw 5 new cards, which at the beginning that's all you have. And then you'll repeat the process when it comes back to your turn again. The other players will take their turns and then it'll come to you and you're like, oh, I've got 3 coins here. So you'll play out and you'll say, I have 3. And you're like, oh, maybe I'll take this woodcutter because he looks pretty good for 3 because he has 2 coins and plus 1 buy. So when he comes to my hand again next time, when I'm able to play him, I can play 1 action card and he lets me play, purchase 1 extra thing so I can divide my money. So let's just assume he was in my hand for the next time. Let's say my 5 cards and I come up and shuffle them up because now that I purchased him, he would go into my deck and I'd shuffle. And I'd draw 5 new cards, but let's just assume that I draw him in a hand. So I go, oh, I got 4 coins. So I said, okay, so I'll play my 4 coins, but the first thing you'd really do is you can play 1 action card. So I'll play the woodcutter. So I get an additional buy this turn, and he adds 2 coins to my total. So I've got 4 copper plus the 2 coins will be 6. So now I can buy up to 2 things because of the additional buy. And so maybe I'll buy a thief, which has an ability to take stuff from other players. I won't go into the whole details of everything that he does. You can pause it and read his abilities there. So normally I can only buy 1 thing, like I said, but since I played the woodcutter, I can buy an additional item during the buy phase. So 2 left over. You know what? I'll take a chapel. And then that'll go to my discard, and then I'll draw 5 more cards. And you know, you repeat this process, getting better and better cards. Other cards, like let's say the council room here, have cool abilities. Like this says you will be able to play draw 4 cards, and then you also get an additional buy. And at the very bottom it says each other player draws a card. So the council room is pretty cool because it gives you a great benefit. It costs 5, so it's a little expensive, but you get to draw 4 cards. However, there is a little bit of a negative where your opponents each get to draw an additional card, but it's still a pretty good card. So what happens is you continue to build your deck as you know, the deck builders go, and your hands will get more and more efficient. You'll thin them out, you'll produce more money, you'll draw more actions to do more things, and eventually you'll be buying these properties over here. Like a duchy is worth 5, the estate costs 5, it's worth 3 victory points. The estate costs 2, but it's worth 1. So you probably really shouldn't buy those unless it's near game's end and you think you're pretty close. And it costs 8 to buy a province. Now they do have tons and tons of expansions, and it's worth 6 victory points. There's tons and tons of expansions for Dominion, so they even have some that have higher value property, and you also have higher higher value money. So like let's say you had 6, like I had that one time, you could buy this, and now a gold's in my hand. So now when I draw, ooh, I could get a gold and silver, and you can really ramp a lot of money. But you also have to balance it because you have to have enough buys. So that's the basics of Dominion. You just keep building your deck until all the province cards are gone or 3 supply piles are gone. And that triggers the condition, and then everybody counts up all the properties they have in their hand and adds up the point total. And that's the winner. So that's pretty much Dominion in a nutshell. There's a little, you know, the cards make up all the rules, and it's easy to play, very fast. It's a great introductory game to the world of deck building. I hope you enjoyed watching this on the Dice Matrix. Have a beautiful rest of your day.